think we can all agree that the 4 seasons are a repetitive, changing cycle, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think that in a way they're kind of like a cycle of life, because in springtime, there's this new, exciting life with these blossoms, and bees are pollinating the blossoms, and it's all just this exciting big thing. But then as the seasons move on into summer and fall, the colors in summer start to become more dull. There's not as much exciting life going on. And then as it moves to fall, the leaves start to fall, and it just starts to look more dead. And then when you get to winter, it kind of turns into this cold, dead-looking winter. So I'll be looking at Their Eyes Are Watching God, and I will be looking at how Hurston uses this cycle of seasons to develop Janie's journey of finding love. So I will be analyzing significant quotes that show this cycle happening throughout the book, and I have showed in this visual how each season represents Janie's journey and what she believes it feels like in each season. So I'll start off with a quote that depicts Janie's ideal image of love. Oh, to be a pear tree, any tree in blossom, with kissing bees singing at the beginning of the world. She was 16. She had glossy leaves and bursting buds, and she wanted to struggle with life, but it seemed to elude her. Where were the bees singing for her? So first off, the words kissing and singing have this sort of romanticization going on that show that the author is telling the reader that this is what she sees love as, this is what she sees romance as, this exciting springtime. And the words beginning of the world, glossy, and bursting have this exciting diction to them that show that she believes that the springtime will bring her excitement and happiness and love into her life. And then the use of the question, where were the bees singing for her, is used to show the reader that this is what Janie is going to be looking for throughout her entire life. She wants this ideal image of spring, this happiness and beauty. So first off in the book, she's with Logan, and she thinks that this springtime happiness is what love is. But she's with him and nothing really happens. She waited a bloom time and a green time and an orange time. When the pollen again gilded the sun and sifted down on the world, she began to stand around the gate and expect things. So first off, this changing imagery is used in the words bloom, green, and orange. And it's used to show this cycle of seasons happening, because she's waiting in the bloom time in the spring where there's blooming happening, and then when nothing really happens, it moves on to the green time in the summer, and then the orange time in fall. And I know mine isn't really orange because it looks a little dead, but you get the point. And then we know she's waiting because of the repetition of the words time and. This repetition of time is showing the length of time she's been waiting, and the repetition of and is showing that, well, I waited this and this and this, and she's getting tired of it. So when it says the word expect, we know that she is in winter, she knows that nothing's going to happen, and she's ready to move on and look for springtime love again. So then she finds Joe, and she believes that he is going to bring her this springtime love. And we know that she is excited for this and that she's ready for it because of this happiness happening in the quote, because like the word harvest has this happy diction to it, because generally times of harvest are times of happiness. And then the personification of springtime sprinkled over everything is showing that Janie thinks that this springtime is going to be in her life forever. She doesn't think that the seasons are ever going to start to move on. She thinks that Joe will bring her this happiness in springtime that will last forever. And we know that she thinks it's going to last forever because she has this sure diction for herself. She says until death that it is going to happen. So she truly believes that it will stay with her forever, this happy springtime love that Joe has given her. But as the story moves on, we know that Joe starts to become more mean to her. He beats her down physically and mentally, and he overall just starts to control her. So this, not happiness is showing that we've moved away from spring and the seasons are passing, because it's no longer a happy, loving life in the springtime. It's starting to move through the seasons. And we know this because of this quote. She had no more blossoming openings, dusting pollen over her man, neither any glistening young fruit where the petals used to be. So the words no and neither, to start off, have this negative connotation to them that is being used to show that Janie is no longer happy in this relationship. And we know that she's no longer happy, and we know that the seasons are moving along because of the words no more blossoming openings, which show that spring is over and past because the blossoms are gone, and neither any glistening young fruit. So we know that the fruit isn't even new anymore. anymore. It's not even the beginning of summer. The fruit has gotten old, and it's probably started to move into fall, where the fruit is getting even older and falling. And so we see this cycle moving towards the winter, and Jamie doesn't want to be in the winter. She wants the spring. So Jo dies, she moves on with her life, and she's looking for the springtime love again. And once again, she finds another person. She finds Tea Cake, and she thinks that he is going to bring her this springtime happiness and love again. And we know this because of this quote. He could be a bee to a blossom, a pear tree blossom in the spring. So first off, Jamie has been through this cycle and struggle before. She isn't really sure if she's ever going to find this springtime love again. And we know this because of the word could. And the word could has a sort of unsure diction to it, because she's not really sure if he's going to bring her this happiness anymore. She doesn't really know if this springtime love is going to happen. And if we go back and look at Jo, she was certain that he was going to bring her this springtime happiness. She said, from now on until death. That had very of a sure type diction for it. She was very certain that it was going to happen. But now she's more like, well, it could happen, but I'm not really sure if this is ever going to happen. But if we look at the words in purple, bee to a blossom and a pear tree blossom in the spring, these words and phrases show that this person, Tea Cake, will bring her this springtime happiness. Because if we look back to the very beginning of when she described what she saw this springtime love and happiness to, she specifically talked about the pear tree and how the bees were singing and pollinating. Like in this picture, the bees are there and there's blossoms of this pear tree, and so that is her exact image of love, and that is what she will be looking for. And then when she was with Jo, she only described him as a bee for her bloom. There was no pear tree involved. The cycle wasn't complete. He was not going to bring her that springtime love because he was not described as the perfect springtime love that she had envisioned for herself in the beginning. But if we look again at Tea Cakes, he does have that bee to a blossom and pear tree blossom in the spring. So it's kind of like at the beginning when the author described what she found love as, the author was foreshadowing of what would actually bring her love. So we know subconsciously that Tea Cake will bring her this happiness and love. So Tea Cake does bring her the springtime happiness, but he goes above and beyond that. And the author starts to use this sort of character development. These series of quotes will develop his character with the idea of the sun. So the first quote is, Janie dozed off to sleep, but she woke up in time to see the sun sending up spies ahead of him to mark the road through the dark. So the personification of the sun sending up spies ahead is like this idea that the sun is helping him out. And it's helping him through the dark, because this was when Janie thought that he was going to leave her forever, but he came back to her. So it's like the sun was helping him out. The sun was almost like being a friend to him. And then the book goes on, and the next quote is, Tea Cake, the son of the evening sun, had to die for loving her. So this metaphor of the son of the evening sun is depicting him as someone who is related to the sun. So he's gone from being sort of friends with the sun to being related to the sun. And then, so the next quote is, Tea Cake with the sun for a shawl, the kiss of his memory made pictures of love and light against the wall. So now, the metaphor of with the sun for a shawl shows that he is wearing the sun. He has become a part of the sun. So he's gone from being friends with the sun, to being related to the sun, to being a part of the sun. So his character has been developed to become more and more like the sun. And this is important because even though he's dead and gone now, the kiss of his memory made pictures of love and light against the wall. So Jamie's still happy, even though he's dead. So overall, I analyzed these significant quotes that show this cycle of seasons happening throughout the book in Jamie's love life. So what? Why does this matter? This matters because it developed Janie's character through the development of Tea Cake's character. Because in the beginning, Janie was very focused on this ideal image of this springtime love. This is what she wanted. She believed that in order for her to be happy, she would only ever have to be in this one cycle of her life. She had to be in springtime to be happy. But with Tea Cake becoming the sun, Tea Cake made her realize that she didn't need springtime to be happy, because the sun keeps all of the seasons alive no matter how dead they look. So basically, Janie realized that she could still be happy even though he's still gone, because he brought love and light into her life. And she could be happy because Tea Cake became the sun and Tea Cake gave her the sun.